Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a look at Saskatchewan's COVID-19 numbers. 2 more people who tested positive for COVID-19 in Saskatchewan have died. They were both in the 70 to 79 age group in Regina and Saskatoon. There are 196 new cases to report, including 17 in the Northwest. 11 of those are in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 130 active cases. 2,250 cases are active in the province. There are 171 people in hospital, with 7 in the Northwest. Close to 471,000 vaccine doses have been administered, with more than 33,000 in our zone. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we take a look at the Lloydminster Public School Division's junior kindergarten program, with registration currently open. I'm joined here now with Elena Block, and first I'll just get you to give some background information into the Lloydminster Public School Division's junior kindergarten program.
So the junior kindergarten program is for children who turned 4 by the end of December. It is a program that offers children learning, language, experiential and play opportunities based on our pre-kindergarten philosophies and just the best practices for early learning. So yeah, basically it.
And for the parents who are wondering, could you just go a bit more into detail of the key skills that the students are learning?
So I guess the main thing is just the social aspect of the junior K. So kids are exposed to lots of other children, learning how to share, how to take turns, how to process different emotions that they have, and then also just being able to explore through play and through toys, just making sense of the world around them. We do a little bit of letters, some numbers, some of those basic skills too, but a lot of it is the play-based approach to it.
And why do you think that it's a good idea for parents to get their kids involved in this program?
Yeah, I feel like the Junior K program is a great transition into kindergarten, just bringing kids into the school and helping them feel comfortable in a school setting and what it would look like. And then when they come to kindergarten, it's just that much easier for them. At Bar Colony, we are really fortunate because we're kind of like the central hub for early learning here in our division. So we have the pre-kindergarten program and the junior kindergarten program. So we're really lucky in that sense that we can host all these early learners here at our school. And I feel like I kind of touched on this also, but just allowing children to explore and to play here and just making sense of their world when they're here, and that the introduction to that too, and the inquiry piece that they'll get to do even more in kindergarten as well.
And what has been the reaction that you've gotten from parents who have got their kids involved with the program so far?
Yeah, I feel like parents are always really grateful and thankful that they went and signed up and brought their child into the program at the end of it, for sure, as I see that now. Just how much more confident their child is, independent, responsible after spending the time here. And they just feel that much more confident sending them to kindergarten in the fall and feel like they're that much ready. So it's that confidence boost for the parents and for the children as well.
And what does the weekly schedule look like for the students?
So basically, when you sign up for the Junior K program, your child will come to school for 5 hours per week. So you would either be in a Monday and Wednesday morning, or Monday, Wednesday afternoon, or Tuesday, Thursday morning, or Tuesday, Thursday afternoon. So we're really hoping that we can fill up all those spots come the fall with all our children. But basically, they would come to school. We have a drop-off time. They play outside for a little bit. We come inside. We have some table activities that they do, maybe a little lesson of some sort, reading stories, singing songs, and lots of play. This year we got to go to the library for a little bit, maybe the gym next year too. So lots of different activities that they get to do, and they're just so excited to meet new friends and to be here and play.
How can parents register their kids in the program, and when does the registration run until?
So our registration is open right now, and you can do it all online. So all you have to do is you would go to the LPSD website or our Bar Colony website, and there's just a link through there. So you have to fill out 2 separate forms once you get into that. So the first one is just an LPSD new student form, and then there's also the Junior K program form as well. So that one you'd be able to tell us which class you would prefer, and tell us a little bit more about your child. So that can all be done online this year, and it's really quick and easy that way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Elena.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Beyond the Classroom is brought to you by Lakeland College, home to the most hands-on education in Canada. Apply today and graduate job ready.
A new study has found that Lakeland College contributes over $130 million to the economy each year. Jace Mackey has more on how the institution is hoping to be an economic powerhouse as the province recovers from the pandemic.
A recent study has found that Lakeland College's economic impact is over $130 million a year. To talk a little bit more about this, I'm joined by President and CEO of Lakeland College, Alice Wainwright-Stewart. Thank you so much for talking with me today. First of all, alumni contributions were a big part of the economic contribution to the region. Can you just talk a little bit more about the alumni impact?
It's about $61 million worth of impact. And when you think about what we've tried to track our alumni, see what they're doing, so proud of our students. And when you see after they've graduated and some of the things they've done, they've really made a difference in our region. It's surprising how many students that graduate stay in our region, and we have a very, very significant $61 million impact of graduates who are now in the workforce and supporting our region and really moving our region forward. So that's very exciting for us.
The biggest contributor of the economic impact from Lakeland was Lakeland Operations. I think $66 million or over $66 million is what Lakeland Operations have contributed to the local economy. Can you just talk a little bit more about that?
We have about 400 full-time employees, but my Christmas list is about 600. So when we look at our contracts, we look at our the different type of employment that we offer. There's about 600 individuals that are employed at Lakeland College between the two campuses. That's significant when you think about Vermilion and where that is, and you even think of the employee, what's been going on in our region. We've had some downsizing to some of our other companies, so we just try to keep up there, keep our Lakeland activity strong enough, which provides more local employment where we can. I think the other thing that we really noticed with Lakeland and what it's doing for our region is that we've tried to keep our pulse on our labor market needs. We've also tried to, in our advisory committees, ensure that our local contributors to our market have a really good understanding. So industry is part of our advisory committee meetings, always giving us the latest information so that we can ensure that our students are getting the skills that they're going to be job ready when they graduate. And so that I think helps. I also think what we've tried to do is ensure that we have a regional, what I call a regional stewardship, which is making sure there's viable pathways from foundational learning straight up to degrees. And we've talked about the newest degree in our agriculture technology that really is the first in Canada that's going to provide even more opportunities as technology continues to increase within even our local business force. So what we can do to support that, and we try to provide a variety of programs that meet the needs of a variety of work needs within the community as well. So you think of ag producers, you think of pharmacists, you think of teachers, accountants, tradespeople, environmental sciences. So giving that variety of employment. I think that's helped being Lakeland's a community college, a community meeting the needs of the region.
And student spending is another factor. You know, in a normal year, a lot of people will come to the region to attend school here at Lakeland.
Yes. So on a yearly basis, our Lakeland College students contribute to our local economy $2.9 million. That's pretty exciting when you think about it. They also contribute, when they come, there's 1,000 extra students on the one campus and pretty close to 900 extra students on the second campus. So there's an opportunity for another piece of part-time jobs, people that are contributing to society within the community as well.
And there's also dual credit programs and different partnerships with other institutions that Lakeland is involved in that allows people from this region to stay in this region to complete some of their post-secondary schooling as well.
Yes. When I think of what we're trying to do in that, I kind of alluded to the pathways. Pathways for Lakeland is providing every opportunity we can so students can come in, maybe even in an entry-level programming, and move their way through. So let's say the student comes from an area where they maybe didn't even finish high school. There's opportunities at Lakeland where you can continue until you finish that and then move through the programs of your choice to get to the career of where you're looking for. We also, as this change in what's happening between COVID and some of the oil industry, we're trying to provide that upskilling and reskilling for people that may want to change careers. What is specifically important to our what we call the dual credit. There's also a CTS, which is Careers, Trades, and Technology within the high school system. And there's also a RAP program that's part of the trades through the high school. Those are what we look at in terms of Lakeland, is giving the high school student the opportunity to come to the college setting, see what it's like, give them a taste.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me today. It's always great to talk with you.
Startup Canada is utilizing Mental Health Awareness Month with a new program already underway to take steps in the right direction when it comes to our well-being. Connor Chan has more.
Well, joining us today is Tess Wack, Executive Director with Startup Lloydminster, and we're talking about a new initiative with Startup Canada in part of Mental Health Awareness Month. So Tess, what is this new program that Startup has begun?
Yeah, so we were very excited when they had announced this program, their checking in program. So it's a free mental well-being challenge for startups. So when Startup Canada put it out to us communities to share, we were very excited to have that opportunity.
Can you just touch on a little bit more about what people are going to be doing during those 30 days?
Yeah, so it's a 30-day challenge. It's no surprise, mental health has been a priority of focus, and especially now being May is Mental Health Month. So it was great timing. So what it is, it's a 30-day challenge. There's daily check-ins, there's different things like that. There's an app that they've worked with to do it. So really it's working to build your self-awareness, remind you to practice some daily mindfulness and improve your well-being. So at the beginning, there's an initial kind of well-being assessment. Then you do the 30 days of check-in, and then you do another follow-up assessment, and then kind of some action plan, I believe. So a few of us in the office have signed up, so we're excited to do it. And then I know a few of our entrepreneurs have too. So I'm excited to see everybody's progress.
Now, of course, one thing when it comes to asking people about mental health, it's more about how you are today as opposed to how you are in a general sense. And especially with COVID, it really has been taking a toll on people. So how important was it for Startup Lloydminster to have this program available?
Extremely important. Like you said, these are some unprecedented times. We've never had to really navigate anything like this. And, every day's different. We never know, today or yesterday, Saskatchewan announced how we're going to reopen, and Alberta tightened up a bit. So it's just kind of a bit of a roller coaster, and we're all trying to get through the best we can. And so having some tools in our toolbox that can support us to get through these times, because we will get through them. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. So just having some of those tools to help us get through and navigate, we'll just come out stronger on the other side and help us navigate other challenges that we'll undoubtedly face through our lifetime.
Now, this is the first year that this is happening. So could we see this being a yearly thing with startups across the country? And how big can this actually get there, Tess?
Yeah, so it was just a small pilot project for Startup Canada. So like I said, they kind of shared it with our communities. But I know that they're really looking forward to seeing how it goes and then seeing how we can expand it. They've talked about expansion of other mental health programming, different opportunities to engage, different things like that. I know it's been something we've been talking about as a team, and so we're excited to kind of see how this goes and then how we can take this and build upon it to better serve our small businesses and startups.
You mentioned how you and the staff have signed up. Share with us, I know it's only the first day, but can you share with us what things were part of the first check-in?
Yeah, so the app, it's super easy to use. You can set reminders for when they're wanting to check in, or you get your little tools or tasks for the day. The assessment, it was a really good assessment, easy to do. And it's connected with the University of British Columbia. So it's students, PhD students, or people with PhDs as well, kind of working through doing the study, and then we'll help you with your assessment and then the follow up at the end. So I think it's built in in my mind, it seems very logical so far. We'll see how it goes for the next 29 days, but I'm really looking forward to it.
And lastly, Tess, are there any final thoughts that you'd like to add on what we already discussed today?
I guess if there was anything I was going to add, it would be that, like we've said, the mental health has definitely been, top of mind for many of us, especially for entrepreneurs and small businesses. It's been a tough go. And so if you didn't make it on this checking in challenge, please keep up with our social media and watch for anything else that's being shared. Like I said, they are looking at expanding some of these things, but as well, just reach out to us as well. We're here to help. Sometimes it is just needing to connect and chat and, talk through some of these things that have been going on, and, different strategies, different ways you could pivot. And so we're here. If we don't have the answers, we have partners, and we have community members we work with as mentors who do. So we can make those connections, and we're here to support you.
Well, Tess, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Now we're Connor Chan. We'll take a first look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Well, happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody out there. Of course, it is May 5th, or as what my producer Blake said, Revenge of the 5th, as a play on of Star Wars from yesterday with May the 4th. But it's very clever. I actually didn't hear that one until today. We did see a little bit of rain today, though, that happened around the 2:30 to 3 o'clock range. Just some light rain, as we are starting to see a little bit of remnants of that at the Lloydminster Airport, sitting at 12 degrees. The wind's been pretty calm for the most part, as we're sitting around 8 to 10 kilometers an hour. As we look around the other areas here, we see lots of warm temperatures throughout our region, with 13s in Vermilion, 14 all the way up in St. Paul and Bonnyville, 16 in Vegreville and Edmonton, as well as up in Cold Lake. And then looking to the Saskatchewan side right now, 13 also in Maidstone, with 15 degrees in North Battleford, where the system is going to see the rain eventually in the next couple of hours or so, and then 16 up in Meadow Lake and in Green Lake as well. So here's a look at the satellite radar map right now. Of course, the system is moving a little more eastbound there, so the majority of the rain could be going towards the North Battleford, Unity areas, as well as just north of those areas. So we did get a little bit of rain, not a whole lot. I know it's been pretty dry and dusty out there over the last couple of days or so, but bear with us, because we are going to see a day of rain hopefully this week or so around the Saturday, as well as even on Monday, and we'll showcase it in the 7-day forecast. But looking ahead overnight, -3 is what they'll drop to in North Battleford, with a little bit of cloud coverage going into tomorrow. 18 degrees with mostly clouds and a bit of sun there. Looking at overnight, clear skies in Cold Lake at -2, and then 17 degrees will be the daytime high for them overnight, as we continue to see mostly cloud coverage throughout the next couple of days here in our area. -1 with clear skies overnight in Lloydminster tonight. 19 is what we'll see tomorrow, so a nice warm day for tomorrow. We could see a little bit more clouds emerge as well as we look into Friday. 16 degrees as our daytime high there, with a low of 3 degrees. And then going into Saturday, we could see a full day of rain there, as a much needed day of full rain there, with 13 as our high and 4 as our daytime low. That is a look at your weather for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
The AJHL regular season is set to wrap up on May 9th. Unfortunately for a number of teams, one being the Bonnyville Pontiacs, that day came sooner. The Pontiac season was shut down on April 27th after being a close contact to the Whitecoat Wolverines, who had a member test positive for COVID-19. Evan Kenny has more.
A season that has felt like multiple years is now in the books.
We had all that season involved with major junior players that were loaned to our league, and we elected not to do that. We elected to stay within that development season. And then with the 3-month pause, how grateful and privileged for the opportunity that we were to be able to get back into it. And that reflects again the hard work that never stopped with the league and our CMO. And for us to be able to play our 8-game series against Sherwood Park and then our 4-game series against Whitecourt. It was our second season because we had to replace a lot of 20-year-olds that elected to go down to the United States to continue on when we were unsure of our cause. And for our young group to come as far as they did in a short period of time, I would agree that it was 2 different seasons, 2 different teams that we were involved with.
The Pontiacs played 7 exhibition games and 4 regular season before the break in November. The team then came back in the new year to finish with a record of 8-6-2.
It was tough for us because we were trending in the right direction. Just in such a short period of time, our young group had grown so much and they had come so far from where we started from. And we always said that we've got a long ways to go in our startup. And we always said that we plan on going a long way.
3-2, Pontiacs win in overtime. Oh boy, what a big goal by McGee.
This season was focused on player development, something that will continue into the offseason.
We think that we're in an unbelievable position because we went with a young group and we put them in intense situations in the Alberta Junior Hockey League seasons that we had this year. And then you add in the great recruiting that our staff has done. We have some tough decisions and pressure becomes on the organization for us in terms of what are we going to do because we've got more depth than we've ever had before.
The Pontiacs will be able to retain 22 of their 25 players for next year's roster. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
Now our Connor Chan will take another look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. As I did mention earlier, we did see a little bit of rain today, not a whole lot, unfortunately, because we do see remnants of the dust on the roads, and it's been pretty dry for the most part. It's making its way more so down south to those, to the southern Swift Current areas, as well as down into Medicine Hat there. So we will have our day of rain, and I'll show that in the 7-day forecast in just a little bit here. But taking a look right now, we're seeing some pretty good temperatures out west, 16 in Edmonton, and then we see lots of 14s in Rocky Mount House, Red Deer, and Athabasca, 15 degrees in Whitecourt with 13 in Edson. Taking a look to Saskatchewan, we see temperatures in the 15 range in Prince Albert and North Battleford, 16 in Meadow Lake and in Saskatoon, and Melfort also sitting at 14 degrees. Looking up north, it is a little bit cooler as we see single digit numbers, there with 5s for Uranium City, Stony Rapids, and South End, and then 9 for Flin Flon, 11s in LaLoche and Buffalo Narrows, going into northern Alberta now, 16 degrees in Fort McMurray and in High Level, 8 for Fort Chipewyan, and then 15. We see that in Grand Prairie and Peace River. Now taking a look at south, of course they were a chance of getting some thunderstorms earlier in the week here, and some rain could continue to make its way into those parts of southern Alberta, and as well as make its way into southern Saskatchewan. So 11 in Medicine Hat right now with 14 in Lethbridge and Coronation, and then 12 degrees out in Calgary. Looking to Kindersley as we speak now, 14 degrees for them as well, with 15 all the way out in Moose Jaw in Regina, and then 14 in Estevan. Now looking ahead to the eastern provinces here, Manitoba sitting at 11 degrees with mostly sun and a bit of clouds right now. Some rain making their way over to the Ontario and Quebec areas with 8 in Quebec City and 10 in Toronto with some showers. We could see a lot of rain in the Atlantic provinces pretty soon here as we see 5 in St. John's and 8 in Halifax over those next couple of days. We could see wind gusts getting pretty high up there as we see that we could get over 70 out east there. 13 degrees in Vancouver with some cloud coverage, and 9 for Whitehorse as 9 degrees all the way up in Yellowknife. Now take a look for tomorrow. We are going to see a little bit more sun tomorrow than we did see today. It's a pretty dark, gloomy day, of course, as I mentioned, with the rain. Not a whole lot though, but we will have that clear up a little bit more tomorrow as we are going to see temperatures in the 19-degree range for our area in Vermilion and Marwayne as well. 17 up in Cold Lake and Pierceland with 20 degrees in Vegreville, as well as in Wainwright and Macklin. 18 for North Battleford and Maidstone tomorrow, and then we'll see 16 all the way in Meadow Lake and 13 up in Isle La Crosse. Now here's a look at the next 7 days. Cloud coverage will continue to come back on Friday with a high of 16 degrees. We could see a full day of rain on Saturday with a high of 13 and a 66% chance there. 15 for Sunday with the cloud coverage continuing on into Monday with a high of 18, where we should see a little bit more sun, and then we could have another day of rain on Tuesday with a high of 17 and a 62% chance of some showers there. And going into wrap up the 7 days, 14 degrees with mostly sun and a bit of cloud coverage there. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Dobson is here with us once again this week. And Stephanie, this week we're starting part 1 of a 2-part series regarding scheduling for parents in that have 2-parent homes where there's kids involved and they're going back and forth. And scheduling obviously is a difficult thing anyways, but when you're dealing with parents who are separating or divorcing, much bigger issue. So let's start first of all with just the concept of a schedule itself. Where do parents start when trying to get something like this lined up?
There's 2 parts to any parenting schedule, and that's why I thought I would break it up into a 2-part series. We seem to have way too much to talk about in a 5 or 6 minute period. So I broke it up between the regular schedule, which we'll call the school-based schedule if you have kids that are school-age children, and the holiday schedule. So that's usually for times when the kids are out of school. So we'll be looking next week at that holiday schedule. So when considering a regular schedule, some families generally know what's going to work for them. For others, it's more difficult to come up with that schedule. So if families need some help, here's a few tips. Start by considering generally how the time will be broken up. So some families will do weekdays with one parent and weekends with the other. Some want to commit to, on a monthly basis, let's keep it about this many days for one parent and this many days for the other parent. Or others may want to generally have an exchange every few days. So these are just the general concepts to start. Then next, we want to consider the consistency that parents can create. The more consistency that you have between 2 homes and the more consistency for the parenting schedule, the better the children will be able to adapt, generally speaking. So maybe you want to have the exchange on a consistent day of each week, or maybe around a consistent event, like before supper on a particular day or after nap time on another day. So to layer on top of that, you may want to look at practical things like what's each parent's work schedule and what's the kids' schedule. So we've got school, life, activities, daycare, that sort of thing. I encourage parents to come up with a schedule they think might work for them and then to try it on for size. I suggest somewhere between the 4 to 6 week mark to at least give you a few exchanges and see how the children are adapting. It always takes time to get into that new routine. Finally, there's lots and lots of online resources. For my clients, I always send them to my website, henkadivorce.ca. I've got a resources section under divorce tools. There's 3 different parenting schedule creators or to help parents as they're building their plan to get some ideas of what might work for them. In my practice, I always take a developmental approach to building parenting schedules for parents when I'm working with them.
And Stephanie, what exactly does that mean, a developmental approach?
Well, a lot of times families will come in with their own ideas of how to create their schedule or what's been working for them or perhaps not working for them for a while. And I really start to inquire about what are they noticing with respect to their children and how well they're adapting to 2 homes. So when we look at a developmental approach, we look at things like the children's age, their stage of development, their temperament, their ability to adapt to changes, and any other particular considerations that would be child specific. One example is children with special needs. So in essence, this means that when creating that parenting schedule, parents should be mindful of their children's individual needs, and they may find that they need to make individualized schedules so that maybe if you have 3 kids, it's not that all 3 kids get lumped into a particular schedule. Maybe 2 children need to do this and 1 child needs to do that, for example.
So Stephanie, obviously flexibility is key with this too. And in some cases there are going to be special changes, special requests. What's the best way to deal with that?
Well, into every plan that parents make, I always recommend negotiating some kind of a formula for how to deal with change requests. So there's various kinds of change requests, and they should be dealt with differently. So for example, there's times where a parent simply can't make their scheduled parenting time work. You can implement something called a right of first refusal. That's a formula where if one parent isn't available, the obligation on that parent is to give the other parent, we'll call them the off-duty parent, the first opportunity to care for the children while the on-duty parent is away. But that opportunity is just that. It's an opportunity, not an obligation for that off-duty parent. There's also situations where a parent may want to exchange time because they've got a special occasion or a holiday coming up. Now, of course, we're going to be talking in more depth next week about holiday scheduling, but generally speaking, it's important for parents to provide what they want to see in the event that a parent needs to change. So how much notice do you need to give? Do you want to make sure that it's in writing? Is there certain information that you need about why that change request is being made in order for the other parent to consider it? And third, what if a major change is required? So for example, if there's life changes, so the children's school changes or their activities change, life changes, parents' work schedule changes, something that's going to be more major, you want to always create some formula in there to make sure that you provide in the event of needing to make those major changes. In the end, it's always important to provide as much notice as possible to the other parent for any change requests so that they can so that you have a way to resolve the dispute if a dispute does in fact arise.
All right, Stephanie, well, great information once again. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back next week to talk about holiday scheduling for parents who are separated or divorced.
Thanks, Stacey.
I'm joined here today with Ariana Scott, the interim CEO with Food Banks Alberta. Thanks so much for joining us today. Now, food banks in Alberta and BC are now introducing a kind emergency response preparedness training system. What's all involved with this?
So this system is a interactive and full spectrum learning management system that incorporates an emergency preparedness and response plan that we as provincial association developed for food banks in 2017 and 18 in response to the 2016 wildfire in Fort McMurray, as well as the 2017 wildfires in BC.
And this system is also being supported by the Canadian Red Cross?
Yeah, so the online learning management system was made financially possible by the Red Cross. Both in Alberta and British Columbia, our respective Red Cross departments were able to help fund each of the provincial aspects.
What made Food Banks Alberta and Food Banks British Columbia unite to start this system?
So in 2016, when the wildfires happened in Fort McMurray, Food Banks Alberta played a large role in assisting not only the food bank in Fort McMurray, but food banks across the province manage the evacuees from that fire. After that event, Food Banks Alberta made a commitment to contract an expert to build an emergency response plan for food banks within Alberta. In 2017, at our provincial conference, the Food Banks BC folks attended a session put on by Food Banks Alberta, the Wood Buffalo Food Bank, and the Canadian Red Cross, where we talked about the plan to move forward with this scalable template that food banks could implement individually as well as across the province. A month later, British Columbia found themselves in a very similar situation with fires and contacted us and asked to join forces and to partner in the development of that template. So it was really in the response to the fires, but it was also in response to the numerous disasters that each of our provinces had seen in the years prior to that, going back as far as the floods of 2013.
And is the plan for this system to not only help during natural disaster season, but with people throughout the pandemic as well?
Yeah, so the plan includes a pandemic section. Initially, that section was fairly slim and not very well developed, but we have worked really hard over the last year to fully develop that section, and it is, the pandemic section is included in the training system, as well as all the documents that go along with that are built into the system, so that if a disaster happens and a food bank has to relocate or start working from home, they're not having to carry all those hard copy files. They can access them directly on the system.
And how many more people do the food banks believe this new system will help with annually?
I mean, it will depend on the year and the number of events that happen in that year. But I think that what it does is it creates a consistent and structured platform under which food banks in the two provinces will respond, how the two provincial associations will respond. And it gives everybody a really clear idea of how to respond depending on which kind of event it is and who's responsible for what, and how we can work together to achieve those goals, and not just try to do it in silos.
And is there anything else you'd like to add for people to know about concerning this new emergency response preparedness training system?
We've worked really hard to make sure that it's accessible as possible. So the website in and of itself has accessibility, such as it'll read the content to you. We have set it up, food banks are often run by volunteers, and some of those volunteers may either be in really remote rural communities where internet isn't necessarily as accessible, or they may not be as plugged into the internet as younger, more urban centers are. And so we have, it's not just an online system. We've developed a CD, a flash drive, and a printed version of it. So we've really worked hard to make sure that this system is as accessible as possible, so that it can be implemented as consistently across the two provinces, and hopefully eventually have even a national implication.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me again today, Ariana.
Thank you for having me.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. 19 degrees tomorrow. We are going to get a little bit more sun than we did see today going into Friday. Cloud coverage continuing again with that high of 16. Some rain potentially on Saturday with a 66% chance of that happening. 15 for Sunday, 18 on Monday, and then looking ahead to Tuesday, we could see another day of rain with a 62% chance of some showers. And then wrapping up the 7 days, we'll have a high of 14 and a low of 2 with that sun and cloud mix.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great rest of your night.